Today, I want to slow things down and look carefully at a currency that often gets mentioned but rarely understood, the Vietnamese dong. This is not about short-term price moves or predictions. This is about understanding how a currency comes to be what it is, and why it behaves the way it does in the real world. When people see the Vietnamese dong quoted against the US dollar, the numbers can look surprising. $1 equals many thousands of dong, and that alone leads to confusion. Some assume it means weakness, others assume something dramatic must eventually change. But numbers without context can be misleading. To understand the dong today, we need to understand Vietnam itself, its history, and the long road its economy has taken. The story of the dong cannot be separated from Vietnam's modern history. The currency was first introduced in 1946, during a time of deep political change. Vietnam was emerging from colonial rule and seeking economic independence. In those early years, the country faced conflict, limited resources, and fragile institutions. Under those conditions, maintaining monetary stability was extremely difficult. The dong was created in an environment where survival came before refinement, and that shaped how it was managed from the very beginning. Over the decades that followed, Vietnam went through war, division, and eventual reunification. After 1975, when the war ended and the country became whole again, the challenges did not disappear. Infrastructure was damaged, industry was uneven. The government adopted a centrally planned economic system, aiming for stability and fairness. Prices, production, and distribution were controlled by the state. While this approach had social goals, it also created inefficiencies. State-owned enterprises lacked incentives to improve productivity. Shortages became common. Informal markets appeared as people tried to meet daily needs outside official systems. These pressures weakened confidence in the currency. Inflation rose not because of a single decision, but because the economic structure could not support sustained growth at that time. The dong gradually lost purchasing power, not through sudden collapse, but through persistent strain. This period left a deep impression on policymakers. It taught hard lessons about the dangers of poor coordination between spending, production, and money supply. Those lessons would later shape a much more cautious approach to currency management. A major turning point came in the late 1980s with the introduction of the Doi Moi reforms, which means renovation. These reforms marked a shift away from strict central planning toward a more market-based system. Private ownership was allowed. Farmers could sell surplus goods at market prices. Domestic trade became more flexible. This transition was not easy. Opening markets brought short-term instability. Prices adjusted. Demand for foreign goods increased. The dong faced pressure as exchange systems evolved. During this time, Vietnam experienced a period of very high inflation. Savings lost value quickly, trust in money weakened. Many people turned to gold or foreign currency to protect themselves. For policymakers, this was a defining moment. Hyperinflation made it clear that stability mattered more than speed. The focus shifted toward discipline. The role of the central bank was strengthened. Controlling inflation became a priority. The goal was not to push the currency higher, but to prevent the chaos of the past from repeating. Over time, these changes worked. Trust in the dong improved. Even though its nominal value remained low compared to major global currencies, it became more stable in daily life. Stability, not appearance, became the guiding principle. As Vietnam entered the 21st century, its economy transformed again. The country became a major manufacturing and export center. Electronics, textiles, footwear, and consumer goods flowed to markets across the world. This export-driven model brought in foreign currency and supported national reserves. The exchange rate became a policy tool. By keeping the dong competitive, Vietnam helped its exports remain affordable globally. This supported jobs and encouraged continued investment. At the same time, authorities had to manage the cost of imports and watch inflation carefully. Currency management became a balancing act, not a one-time decision. The State Bank of Vietnam manages the dong through what is often described as a managed float. The currency is allowed to move within set boundaries. Daily reference rates guide the market. Intervention happens when swings become too sharp. This approach allows flexibility while avoiding sudden shocks that could harm trade or savings. Foreign investment plays a major role in supporting demand for the dong. Companies from countries like South Korea, Japan, and Singapore invest in factories, infrastructure, and technology. These investments require ongoing conversion into local currency to pay workers and operate businesses. That steady demand supports the dong inside the domestic economy. Tourism also contributes. Millions of visitors exchange foreign currency each year to pay for hotels, food, and transportation. Even after global disruptions, tourism has gradually recovered and continues to support local businesses and everyday transactions. Vietnam is also investing heavily in infrastructure, education, and technology. Better roads, energy systems, and digital networks raise productivity. A more skilled workforce allows growth beyond low-cost labor. These real economic improvements matter far more to currency stability than short-term market moves. Looking ahead, the future of the dong will depend on how Vietnam continues to integrate into the global financial system. Banking reforms, transparency, and stronger institutions are part of that process. Participation in regional trade agreements reduces reliance on any single market and increases resilience. Currency values are influenced by many factors: energy prices, global demand, and decisions made by major economies. Vietnam's approach remains cautious and measured. The focus is on steady progress, not dramatic shifts. Past volatility is not forgotten. It guides present policy. The story of the Vietnamese dong shows something important. A currency is not just a number on a screen. It reflects history, policy choices, and real economic work done by millions of people. Understanding that context helps cut through confusion and unrealistic expectations. This kind of understanding matters, especially for those who follow global currencies over the long term. Facts, structure, and history provide clarity. Speculation does not. Thank you for taking the time to explore the background and mechanics of the Vietnamese dong. The goal here is simple: to provide grounded information, free of exaggeration, so viewers can understand how currencies actually function in an interconnected world shaped by history rather than rumor.